Hello everyone, in today's city update, what we're going to be doing is we left off over here when I was installing all my magnetic connectors, and I'm really happy I did. But now we have to start adding some buildings, some more streets, and cars to the other half of the city. So the first thing we're going to do is add the buildings, the street, and I think on this side I'm going to put in a small parking area and my press still building. But the next thing I want to do is I don't like these little trees on Main Street. So we're going to do something to redesign them. For all the buildings, I'm going to be using a combination of sets, mocks, and sets that have been turned into mocks. But I think it's going to turn out really nicely. And all these already have the magnetic connector installed, just like I showed you in my last video. And I recorded me installing everything on Main Street so you could see exactly how quickly and how well everything goes together. I do want to point out that I use a friction pin now to hold them together because I found it was fickle if you don't. And by using the friction pin, when you plug it together, it stays held together and it doesn't move. If you don't use the friction pin when using the magnetic connector, what you'll end up finding is every time that you touch the table or move a building next to it, all the buildings will go out or it'll break the connection of the building next to it. So I just went ahead and started installing friction pins with every single building connector to avoid that problem from occurring. I also want to mention that I know I said this weekend they would be back available for sale on my website, but unfortunately I was supposed to receive my magnets on Saturday, and Saturday came and went, and they updated my delivery date to Monday. So I'm going to say Wednesday is when I should actually have some of those back available on my website, because once I receive them, it's going to take me a few days to actually get a few assembled to start listing them. Is second that I get at least 10 manufactured, though, I will put them on my website for sale. When it comes to attaching the street, it can be somewhat of a pain, the way that I do it, to get it to fasten together. I build all my intersections in a manner and fashion that the crosswalks will stick out 2 studs from the roadway, and I do that because I want it to overlap the section of roadway that I'm going to be placing next to it. So when it comes to the roads, not only do I have a friction pin on either side of the actual roadway, I also have a 2x2 plate underneath that 2-stud overgap piece from the crosswalk, and that ensures that everything stays locked together nice and tight once it's fully assembled. Now we're going to put some cars on the table, and unfortunately I don't have a lot made right now. I still am working on a couple different designs for a few different cars. I do have my police car that I'm going to be using throughout the city, my all-time favorite car that was a gift with purchase, and lastly, a little white sedan that I designed just the other day. Just a quick note, if you missed my last city update, the reason those cars light up so quickly is because I use the modular building connectors on the bottom side of those, so that way it keeps the cars even modular in my city. With everything that I had made up currently placed, I thought this would be a great time to give you a quick overview of the city and also go into explaining how much load can be on one circuit, because this entire city display is plugged into one port on my USB power supply. And the quick rule of thumb I always tell everybody is basically calculated out as 100 LEDs equals 1 amp. And as you can see on my amp draw meter, I only have 0.96 of an amp. The power supply I'm using can have up to 1.5 amps on every single plug, but just to avoid any potential problems, I always stick with 1 amp. And when you take into consideration exactly how much of the table I have illuminated right now, to me, 1 amp is a very small amount of draw for the power that's being distributed throughout the entire city. And I am personally loving how it looks right now. I did also change out all my street lights to warm white. But now on to more important projects. I do not like these trees. So our next project is to simply rip all of these out off of Main Street, and we are going to work on designing a much more attractive tree. And the reason I say that, to me, these trees are entirely too small. When you look at most small town main streets, they have nice, big, lush trees that are larger than the street lights on Main Street. So to me, I need to make a much bigger, more decorative tree to make Main Street look more natural. To do that, we have to start by making a ton of these little dudes you see right here. And all this simply is it's the small leaf piece that you would normally see on Lego trees, and you put one of these sprues in every single hole on the leaf. I do want to point out the parts I'm using right now are from Rebrick. I bought some test pieces just to see if I liked them, and they're not bad, but I intend on rebuilding all the trees I'm going to show you how to do in this video out of Lego pieces, and I will be using bright green when I do that. To give each tree a little bit more fill on the inside, what I've done is made these little pieces using the 1x2 sloped part. And all you're simply doing is you're taking the modified brick with studs on all sides and placing the 1x2 sloped piece on each side of it. And these are going to go inside the tree assembly. Next, we're going to start working on making some of the tree tops. And we're simply using more of the tree sprues and the 3 stem part. For this part, we put 1 sprue on each stem for the first stem part and 1 sprue in each center, and then we put another 3 stem piece on the bottom of that. With the second 3 stem piece, we're going to take our leaf assemblies and use the front of 2 holes on that leaf assembly and put that on each stem as well, and this is going to give us a nice crop canopy for the top of the tree. Now let's speed things up a little bit and show you the complete assembly. You start with a support with a modified brick on the bottom with studs on all sides. And what I do is I put a grill sticking up that modified brick so that way it looks like a small fence is around the tree to be placed onto Main Street. Then all those leaf pieces that we made, we put a 1x1 round brick on the bottom side of each one of those. Place that piece that I showed you we're going to use as a filler in the center, and we're going to put 2 of those on there, and then we're going to put 1 more modified brick on top of that, then 4 more leaves with the 1x1 round brick under that. And then after we get all that fully assembled, we take that piece that I showed you we use as the top canopy and we place that on it. And I really feel like getting those assembled in that way was an absolutely huge improvement. You can see now that I have that tree placed in front of the cafe corner, it really fills everything in nicely. It really helps to bring Main Street more together because it looks a lot more natural to me. I think of when I walk Main Street where I live, and you have this nice natural shade from all the trees that line Main Street. So on a beautiful sunny day, you can walk Main Street with a nice cool breeze, the shade of the trees, and it just gives you a really natural beauty to walking some of these old town city streets. And that has been my entire goal with my new city build, is to capture that old small town feel that most people have never been able to experience, because for me anyway, all of my best memories come from me hanging out in these little small towns. And what a great look it is just to look from one end of the street down to the other end. And also this week I designed a brand new fire truck, and I will be getting instructions available for this on my website, and you can expect to see this fully illuminated and placed somewhere in my city in the next city update video. I'm beyond happy with the progress I've been making with my new city, and I hope you guys are enjoying the journey that I'm trying to bring you along with me as well, and learning a few things in the process. Anyway, that is all the building progress I could make for 1 week, guys. So as always, thanks for coming to Bevins Bricks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share below, and hopefully we'll see you next time in the next city update on Bevins Bricks.